Town Hall and on the town website. Can we stand for a prayer, please? Dear Heavenly Father, we just look to you for guidance tonight. Our town needs your touch and your leadership. God, Father, our nation needs your leadership. But as we focus on this town of Packlet, as we focus on the betterment of Packlet, give us guidance and just lead us. For it's in your name we do pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Let's salute the flag and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I need that. I skipped. I put it backwards.
Didn't think so.
Tonight we have a presentation.
We have a presentation today from A-Line Interactive. A-Line has been used by the town in the past for helping us out with some updates to our website, especially in times of need for us. They've sponsored some events in the past for the town, but I reached out to Charles because one of the goals for this year is to improve the online presence for the town, and wanted to have him come and just give a review of what he does and what there's potential that he could provide to the town.
Thanks, Patrick. And thanks to Town Council for having me in today to present what we do and introduce A-Line to you guys, and for the opportunity to talk about your website. So I am a partner at A-Line. We're located in Spartanburg on Pine Street. And I'm here to discuss a proposal for a modern and reliable digital front door and potentially a social media partnership in the future. So I'm going to talk through our agenda for this presentation, a little bit about A-Line and our work, discuss the current website and opportunities that I see in the website, talk through a solution that I'd want to propose, project timeline and budget, introduce some of our people, and talk through some next steps and what feedback could be from you guys as we get speaking through this process. Yep. All right, so our difference is we're highly relational. We're very relationship focused. Our customers get dedicated account managers and access to support staff. We're local. We're 15 minutes away on Pine Street, a couple doors down from Pine Street School. We offer strategic solutions. Everything that we do, we try to do through a strategic lens to see how users are going to interact with a communication strategy or a website. And we're comprehensive, so we want to look at each project we take on from every angle to make sure that we're not missing anything and we're thinking through the full picture. We're proud to continue a strong partnership with the town of Packlet. We've helped with ongoing content support, and through that we've developed some relationships with members of your team or members of the staff. As Patrick mentioned, we're sponsors of the Packlet Riverfest over the years, through financial and in-kind support. And you know, we don't really see ourselves as a vendor to organizations like the town of Packlet, but we see ourselves as partners. We care about our community, we care about the upstate, and we'd just be really excited to continue supporting you guys as you take action on your goal to improve Packlet's online presence with an updated website and improve social media presence in order to help promote Packlet content to a wider audience. We work with a lot of upstate organizations. Partners for Active Living is one that we're proud of. We've worked with these guys through several website iterations. Laura Ringo has been a really wonderful part of our community that we enjoy working with. They just had their Criterium race this past weekend. We had built the website for that. We have a tent out there. We're part of that event every year. We find it a lot of fun. We like showing up to community events. We've worked with, next slide, Upstate Forever through some website iterations. We launched their most recent website earlier in this year, I believe, but we started working with these guys in 2017. So between Partners for Active Living and Upstate Forever, we've had long-standing relationships. We've worked with them through iterations of their website on various projects, and we've maintained a strong partnership. Currently, and I don't have a slide for this, but we're helping Chapman Cultural Center go through a launch of a new web platform as well. So, you know, if you guys are looking at A-Line and you want to talk to anybody that you see on my website or anybody that is referenced in these slides, I'm happy to send any sort of reference to folks we've worked with. We've reviewed the current site, and the site has a solid foundation in place, prioritizes core information, access to important town resources, and citizen service areas. The content is meaningful and it's useful. We feel like the next step is evolving it and modernizing the experience so that it's easier to navigate, maintain, and use across devices. You've got a lot of strengths currently that I think we could build upon. Through interviewing town staff and conducting audits of the current website, we've identified several opportunities that we think would be core to strengthening the town of Packlet's digital communication strategy, specifically around the website. It would improve the resident experience and simplify long-term website and content management. These opportunities would include simplifying content organization and document management for staff, enhancing website reliability and long-term maintenance, improving website accessibility and ADA compliance, increasing invisibility for important town information and services, streamlining communication tools and public notifications. That sounds like it's been a goal of the town for a while. And then using analytics to better understand residents' needs and behaviors. So setting up the tracking to where we can understand where people are coming from, how they're engaging with the websites, what content is really catching people's attention. But rather than implementing a one-size-fits-all solution, you know, we want to leverage our findings to provide a custom website specific to your town's goals. Content management and website stability is something that we've talked a little bit about over the years. A website, it can just be difficult to maintain without clear content organization, consistent publishing practices, and ongoing oversight. So during our site review and initial discussions, there were some examples that were shared of situations where duplicate files were created, or outdated public information was on the site. Older documents remained accessible after updates had happened. And there were some situations where site stability issues impacted availability during periods of heavy traffic. So, you know, whether it was a lot of bots or a lot of traffic, the site noticed some deficiencies in performance due to being bogged down. We want to make it easier for staff to manage information on the site, and we want to reduce future performance issues. A-Line's content management system is built with simplicity in mind, and our website management agreements include premium hosting and a dedicated team to offer support or troubleshoot issues as they arise. We conducted a digital accessibility scan to identify areas where the current website may create barriers for users with visual, hearing, motor, or cognitive impairments. Currently, the site's flagged as non-compliant with the latest ADA requirements and standards, and we want to change that. Non-compliant websites can create situations where accessing public information can be difficult for people who have some of the visual or hearing or motor impairments. Poor usability with assisted technologies can be an impact too, so think screen readers and things like that some folks have to interact the web. There's increased legal risk. I don't think for town of Packlet it's a major, like you guys are a major target, but there's going to be more and more, I think, litigation around sites that are not compliant, and the potential for complaints to surface from users. And then it can be frustrating for some residents attempting to complete online tasks, and I know that, you know, the town wants to serve all of their, all their citizens equally with the website. In 2024, the U.S. Department of Justice adopted a new digital accessibility requirement under the American with Disabilities Act, establishing WCAG 2.1 Level AA as the technical standard for state and local government websites and mobile applications. This redesign that we're proposing will help the town proactively address accessibility concerns, reduce potential compliance risk, and improve usability for all residents accessing online information and services. The town has expressed interest in improving communication with residents while avoiding systems that require extensive day-to-day management or ongoing back and forth moderation. So potential solutions may include website integrated notification tools, a simple announcement system, event and meeting updates, emergency notifications, and automated publishing workflows between platforms. Our goal is to find a solution that works for the town of Packlet staff and keeps residents informed while minimizing the administrative burden. And then just understanding how people use the site. I mentioned this, but we'll set up Google Analytics and Google Search Console to give staff valuable website performance insights into what people are looking for, what pages are most visited, where users may be getting confused, what content should be easier to access. Implementing these analytics tools will allow the town to make informed decisions about website organization, communication priorities, and future improvements based on the data that we can collect with these platforms. Listed some best practices from leading small town websites. There's a mobile first design component, ADA accessibility, a citizen-centric navigation, integrated calendar. You guys have great events. We want to make sure those are easy to find and stay tuned to. Document search, the importance of being able to find information that surfaces from these meetings. Emergency alerts, making sure that people are informed, or you can communicate if something's happening in your community that residents need to know about. They have intuitive content management systems, and then again, tracking mechanisms so that you can see what's happening with the site. So the solution I'm proposing is to redesign the website to make make the site easier for residents to use, easier for staff to maintain, and more accessible to everyone in the community. The project is not about throwing away the work that has already been done. Instead, it's about organizing the existing content more clearly, modernizing the user experience, and building on a healthier, more sustainable foundation for the future. This is broken into 3 phases. Discovery and content audit would take the first 2 weeks if we were to engage in this project. Design and development would happen over weeks 3 through 12. And then in phase 3, we would launch the site and we would offer ongoing support and management of the website. So for phase 1, we'd conduct discovery meetings with council committee members and staff to get feedback on what's important in the new website. We'd meet with staff to review content and key pages on the site. We would identify content to keep, consolidate, archive, or remove, and we would document critical workflows like agenda posting and announcements. We would research and recommend new navigation based on your users and the position of the website. All right. In phase 2, we'd get into design and development. So we would design a modern and professional design, it'd be a custom design for Packlet. The site would be mobile responsive so that it works beautifully on phones and tablets. It would meet compliance, ADA compliance needs. There'd be clear navigation, intuitive document library, the calendar, emergency banner. We'd preserve the YouTube live stream integrations so that people could continue to enjoy presentations like this one from their home. Proper meta descriptions on all pages, clean internal linking structure, and easy to use content management for staff. Again, we want to make sure agenda posting is something that the staff can do quickly and on the timeline that has to happen. So agendas must be posted in 24 hours before meetings, no exceptions. Tight timelines and last minute changes can make this difficult, so we want to make sure the website is ready for the staff to use. We've got dedicated account managers for support as needed. So we're a resource as well, but we want to make sure it's a tool for the town. Once we launch the site, we'll host the website with a best-in-class hosting solution. We'll implement periodic ADA and health audits to keep the site compliant and provided support to help the town of Packlet communicate more consistently and effectively with residents using the website. So my service agreement isn't a build it and leave it. It's a build it to be compliant and then conduct regular audits and implement programming updates if we find situations where the site suddenly isn't compliant anymore. So we will work to maintain the website that we build to the standard that it needs to be maintained through our ongoing service agreement once it launches. This is the service plan. I won't rattle off all of the things because it represents a lot of what I've already said. But this obviously can be shared after this meeting for people to look and see what would be entailed in our service agreement. I've talked to Patrick and his team about a social media partnership. And you know, as partners, we partner with a lot of organizations and they all have their own specific needs. And so what we like to do is we like to schedule a meeting to determine how can we support the organization in content planning, content production, what cadence does that need to happen? Are we going to come in and help acquire assets or leverage assets provided by the town? We've customized social media partnerships to lean heavily into running advertisements, social ads. So I know that, promoting Riverfest and other events that you guys host, you want to amplify that and get more people to come to Packlet. But there would be an opportunity, I would think, after the website launch to consider a social media partnership that is tailored to Town of Packlet's needs. A proposed timeline, and this doesn't have to happen on these months. I just wanted to give you kind of a look at what the rollout would look like. But if we kick things off, we'd conduct discovery in June. We'd have that committee meeting during that first phase. Once we got into phase 2 into development, that would be through July through September. Review and revisions would be in that month of September, and then we'd prepare to launch in October. So it can be a 3 to 4 month process, but we want to make sure that we interview key stakeholders, we design the website strategically and with the intent of supporting the town's goals and what the residents of this town need. So it's a collaborative process, and we go through iterations of design concepts and things like that to make sure that we nail it with the website and that it accomplishes your goals. The investment summary is here. A website like this is valued at $10,000, and the service agreement that I'm recommending is $265 a month. The details of the service agreement were on that previous page, and I can certainly, after this meeting, if you guys are interested in learning more, I can circulate more information about that or our hosting service or our content management system or anything that you want more details about as to what A-Line does or provides. But this is investment summary, what I would expect the project to take. Again, the social media strategy, I didn't include a price point there because it is going to depend so much on your needs, the budget you'd want to work with, alignment with staff, and what sort of assets you guys might have in hand. There's just a lot in that, but I figured that if there was an opportunity there, we could regroup separately on that. These are some of our people. There's me, I'm a co-founder. We're a family business. It's my brother Drew. He's got a degree in computer science from Clemson and is 12 years older than me, so he's been coding websites long before I entered the workforce. Carrie Phillips is our project director. She runs Point for brand and website rollouts as the account manager for the project. She's got 20 years experience in the industry. Claiborne's a strategist that we pull in to think through web plans and user interfaces and how do people engage with the website. Kara Sanders, Rob, has been working with us since we started A-Line, 2012, maybe a year after we started. She's a creative director. Toby McDermott, he's a dedicated website developer who would be building the website. Hillary Lewis is in charge of our digital marketing team, so she looks at SEO and she looks at ad strategy, and she's the data-minded person who can look and gather insights based on what's going on with Search Console or analytics. And then Dagmar Johnstone, I almost left her out of the presentation, and Patrick reminded me of what a key player she is on our team. But Dagmar's awesome, and she does a lot of she does a lot of support for customers, and she does a lot of content support too. So we've just got a team that, again, we've got people looking at the website from every single angle, and they all bring special skills. We're a better team together than any one of us could be on our own, and anything that we build is in the spirit of teamwork and collaboration. Getting started would look like a kickoff meeting with A-Line and website committee members and staff members of the town of Packlet. We'd dig into the content audit and discovery. We would present proposed sitemaps and design concepts for feedback and approval. And then we would develop it, test it, and launch it. And we may not have time for this, but if we were to get started, I want your input. What you like about the site, areas that you see where there could be improvement, examples of websites, town websites that you see and you think they nailed it. we want to take in as much information as we can so that we can create, our output can be what the town needs. Thank you. Any questions before I hop off the stand? I might eat more than my 15 minutes.
Yeah, do you do all your social media in-house, or do you have like influencers you use, or is that all done by your staff?
It's in-house.
Okay.
In-house staff members that, we've got content writers, photographer, we can leverage a drone.
That was my next question, content. So you send out photographer, videographer for all that to the town and collect that?
We could, and we could determine a cadence of coming by to capture content, and we could look at schedules to see, could I have somebody out here for something like Riverfest, or, but we do have in-house capabilities to gather those assets.
Great.
I know you said that you've partnered a little with us before and helped a little bit. Have you all looked from the back end how much the site is actually being used currently? Like, is there any point of reference, or?
We've primarily looked at it from supporting the town with uploading content or troubleshooting an issue. I haven't spent much time in any analytics or anything like that, so I couldn't speak to current performance.
Okay.
If there were any kind of like an analytics setup, then we could certainly reference that prior to getting started, so we could set some baselines and some benchmarks.
Okay, thank you.
We appreciate you stopping in.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat.
Moving to item 6, do we have any public or citizen comments? Okay. Item number 7, can I get approval or make a motion to approve minutes for April 2nd, 2026?
I wanted to just make one edit that I just caught. Section 11C, this paragraph, the reason I tabled this, it just looks like I was confused and didn't know what was going on. If you could just add the reasoning, add the concerns about Phil's and China King becoming non-conforming, those two specific things, then I'll make a motion to approve with those edits.
Yeah, I believe it was, the issue was that, and I think I've added some sections in the memo about this, but it's,
Yeah, I just want to make sure they're in the minutes.
sure. We'll make sure to add that in there. 11C, consider on second reading an ordinance amendment for 2026-02 to modify the C1 transitional commercial district regulations.
Just want a little context for that.
We can add that content on there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I make a motion to approve with those edits.
Second.
I do have something I just want to make sure that we clarify. It had to do with the discussion of Packlet Thread, and I made the motion that the town may not move funds to the Packlet Thread anymore. And I realized, like, when I said it, I did say the word may, and I think we all agreed on that, but the legal word that I meant was shall. And I just want to make sure that that's where we all stood, that we're absolutely not doing that. I know, because like I said, it's written out and it says may. May is, it's permissive. You may or you may not. Shall is, we're just not going to do that anymore. So I just want to make sure that that's what I intended. So whoever voted with me and whoever agreed with that, I just want to make sure that's what they agreed to too.
So we'll change the may on here to shall.
Yeah, just so we're clear in the legality of that.
All in favor to approve the minutes?
Have a second?
Oh, I thought he already had it. Did I have a second? Yeah, he said.
Second. Normie.
Second
All in
with
favor to
changes.
approve the minutes? Any opposed?
Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Item 8, can I have a motion that we close open session and move to executive session at this time?
I make a motion to go to executive session.
Second.
All in favor to go in? So be it. Try to get my spot back. Yeah. Yeah, I got it. Can I have a motion that we move out of executive session and back into open session?
Make a motion, we move back into regular session.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. We're moving to number 9, the department reports.
Okay, item 1, just want to let you know the date has been set for the planning commission. It's going to be May 11th. And I had an error on there. It shouldn't be, they're not going to be discussing accessory dwelling units. They're going to be just discussing accessory units. And another item is going to be added is a 250 Cleveland Street to be considered for rezoning from R10 to RMH. Under item 2, the final draft has come back, or the second final draft has come back, and I'll be reviewing it this weekend, and I've given a copy to the mayor to look at. I'm just, believe it or not, I'm hitting some highlights. They just happen to be in these first 3. Under 3 on here, I did get a contact back from Norfolk Southern, and they are finalizing some items on there, and as soon as they have to finish up a couple things, and it goes up to corporate level for them to sign off. They also stated that they would sign a quitclaim deed for the railroad line, also known as the dummy line. Item 5 on there, great success with the dumpster day. 10.63 tons was removed. And just wanted to say, the event would not be possible without the group executive session, who came out in full force again, and was there to pick up everything and take care of everything so that it would be a successful event. We ended up having to close it early because we filled up in 2 hours. Did not expect that to happen. So we know now, and for the next spring dumpster day, we'll get a lot more dumpsters than the past. The fall typically does not have as many people coming out for that. Item 6, just letting you know that Mid-South is completing the final stuff on the launch off Neal Road for the new kayak launch, and it'll be ready for the Paddle to Packlet event, and then it'll be open to the public for use. Item 9 on here is the cost for the upgrades to the police department came in around $232,000. The Public Safety Committee will need to review that and make recommendations to council to see what ends up being done, because there's not enough funding to be able to do that.
I had a question on that, Patrick. You said only one bid came back. How many people did we have look at that?
We sent it out through, we sent it out to the state procurement site and put it on our site. We sent it out to contractors that we have worked with in the past, but only one came to the contractor meeting, and only one actually submitted something. We had others that were thinking about it, and they had contacted me and said, you know, they're not sure if they were going to.
So they're the only ones that actually looked at the...
They're the only ones that actually looked at it, and they're the only ones who actually submitted a proposal.
Okay, thank you.
Item 11 on there, an update on there. They have come out and removed the storm debris out on the parking lot at the baseball field there. And then item 12, I've gotten the information back from Love Daily, and the next time we have an admin finance committee, I can go over that in a little bit more detail for the fixes to the audit that's on there. We'll skip that. Item 15 on there, the mayor and I have a follow-up meeting with Paul Abbott tomorrow to go over a couple things related to the county on this particular item for the CDBG grant, as well as some issues that relate to animal control and working with the county to try to get them to come out and address animal control and try to understand why they're not in certain areas. So we'll be having that conversation with him. We'll give you feedback on how that goes. 17, the speed limit signs were installed on Fernbrook. I want to read this out loud, so I want to make sure that everyone in the public sees this. This is item 19. There are 2 surveys that are currently out there for One Spartanburg Vision 3.0 and SPATS. SPATS regarding traffic safety, bike, pedestrian, and road improvements throughout the county. Please take some time to share both these and fill them out yourselves. These surveys responses are what directs funds to various areas within the county. If there is very little provided regarding Packlet, then we may be left out of future funding. And I think, Mr. Cooper, you were able to come to one of the public meetings for that. One item on there is item number 22. We work with Spartanburg Water to release water for the Paddle the Packlet event to have more CFS, which is cubic feet per second, that come off the dam. With the drought, they cannot commit to that unless the area sees a significant amount of rainwater between now and the event.
We got lots last night.
Yes, and I'll reach back out to the CEO and see if they're close or how much more we may end up doing, so we may need to do some more rain dances for that. Item 27, I just want to say to the public, for people listening, I received a message this week from someone who's the District Executive Director for Palmetto Council Scouting America, who is looking to expand to this area. If there's anyone who, church or other organization would be interested in learning more about how we can have a scouting program here in Packlet, please contact me or contact a council member so we can get back to me so I can get them that information. Founders Day was a huge success. I mentioned Mr. Williams will talk more about that later on. History exhibit, I think, went really well. And I just want to make sure that we thank publicly Councilman Williams and Jennifer Gilbert for all their hard work getting that set up. The weather ended up turning out perfect for that. There's upcoming signups for volunteers for the Paddle the Packlet that you can be found on our website. I finished the ARPA funds that the town received several years ago. They had the final closeout, and with that got completed. These are some items that I found later on that I didn't add to the agenda on here. Registration for the Municipal Association of South Carolina Conference is coming up, and Jennifer will be sending something out to you to get you to sign up and get you set up with hotel rooms. And for those that are new, we'll be reaching out to you to get you set up, so the town will pay for hotel rooms, your travel cost, as well as your conference registration so that you can attend. Is it in Greenville? Is it in?
It is in Greenville, waiting on, so you have to apply and say that your municipality wants to attend, and then they give you a date and a time that they're going to call you to register everybody at the same time. So once they give me that date and time, I'll let y'all know to kind of let me know, like maybe a day or two before that date, and we'll get everybody registered at one time. And I can send all of you your confirmations.
Which one was that for? You said Municipal Association?
It's the annual meeting.
It's the, okay.
There's lots of training, lots of great stuff for y'all to go to. You can probably talk to some other council members who have been there and had a good experience. And then Tuesday, I've got a meeting with the owners of Jordan Oil and NAI, Earl Furman. They'll want to talk about their lighthouse site and then other potential investments, and I'll give you feedback whatever happens from that particular meeting. That's all that I have. Any questions?
Patrick, I want to give you an update on number 25. with the senior center.
Okay.
There was a meeting at T.W. Edwards last Friday, included me, Paul Abbott, John from Park and Recs, and 2 of his employees, Mr. Rice, Jerry Rice, another community advocate from out of town who was related to one of the seniors, several of the seniors, and 2 veterans. So we met to discuss the closing of the center. It was very productive. As of, when was that start? One day this week, I got a message. They're not going to close the center. They're going to reopen it on the week of May 18th. They're not going to provide the lunch, from what I understand, because they didn't have enough seniors signing up, but they will provide the lady that was over the program. She would be there to facilitate the activities. So they're going to bring that back starting the week of May 18th. And then Benjamin E. Mays is going to offer on Monday, starting May the 11th from 9 to 1, services for the seniors.
Okay.
So, and I'm so glad, because I was worried we were going to lose those services for the seniors in our community. And I shared with Park and Recs that I would let everyone here know that if you have any seniors in your district, to please encourage them to go and sign up, so we won't lose those activities for the seniors, because I think it's important that they stay active and engaged. So.
April, do you know that if, I know that the county won't be providing the meals, but since, maybe the Benjamin E. Mays will be doing it, would they be able to maybe provide some meals? What if that's something that they really need and look forward to?
A lot of the seniors, it's a few of them that signed up for the meals, but it wasn't enough to justify the vendor to come to Packlet. And so they were saying that they could do it out, and they're going to work together. The ones that are capable and able, that still cook and do that thing, prepare meals for themselves. They said if they need to, they will bring snacks for everybody.
Okay, I was just
and that was a blessing. So, but on Mondays, Benjamin E. Mays, Mr. Rice said they will provide a lunch
They will
on
have
that
something.
Monday. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
So, I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. Thank you, Patrick. Moving on to the police chief.
Good evening. Call volume and crime is pretty typical, exactly what I would expect it to be this time of year. 177 calls for service, 1,385 officer-initiated events, and I wanted to give all of our officers a very specific attaboy. Last week, we had reports of someone doing some suspicious things, and investigation revealed they had been going around committing crimes. Less than 24 hours later, we had that person identified, located, arrested, and in the jail. So total team effort. Everybody on the team participated. And thank goodness, that's the most significant thing, knock on wood, as they say, that I need to report as far as crime goes. So any kind of questions I can answer for anyone right now?
No, thank you.
Did that end easily? I mean, that was peaceful. They,
Absolutely.
all right, fantastic job. Thank you.
Yeah, y'all been doing great, thank you.
Thank you. Let's move to item 10, the board, commission, and committees.
There's nothing at this time, sir.
Okay. Item 12 is some unfinished business. Section A, consider a second reading of ordinance amending 2026-02 to modify the C1 transition commercial district regulation.
This was the one we were just going to pass over, is that right?
Sir?
Is this the one that got tabled, but we were going to pass over?
Yeah, they're working on it.
They're
yeah.
working on it.
So what they've got, this is completely up to you. You can table this again. It will be fixed. The only way it'll end up being fixed is if those 2 properties get rezoned from C1 to C2, and then you create that then you change the updated C1 on there. So you can either have a temporary potential issue, but they're all would be grandfathered in. So you can either table it and then bring it back at another time, and after those particular properties are rezoned to C2, or it's either or.
I personally would prefer to just have it done in proper order if they're planning on rezoning them.
So, if you can wait to have those two properties rezoned
If
and
that's
bring
what
that back.
if that's what they're intent on doing, then that's just my preference. We could go the other way too. It's not a huge deal, in my opinion.
It's on the planning commission to rezone those two, or to bring that up for rezoning at the May 11th.
We would just have to trust that they actually follow through, right?
They can make a recommendation for it or against it, but as long as they make a recommendation, it'll come to council either way.
So I think we should table it until May.
We can just let it, I think we can just let it die, or do we have to table it so it shows up again? Or can
You
we
have to
just let
table it so
die?
it shows back up again, because if you just
All
don't
right.
vote on it, then it
I
can't
make
be
a
brought for
motion to
a
table
year.
it until after planning commission meets.
Second.
All in favor? Any against? Thank you. Moving to item B, discuss and review of the fiscal year 2027 town of Packlet budget.
Some of the changes on there that happened from the last council meeting is that was able to update some stuff on the sanitation and grounds for covering their overtime on there and making sure there was dollars able for that. Actually, one of the biggest issue that we discussed was increasing PD, and here we go. So PD will end up getting a 5% salary increase instead of a 3%, which has been the COLA in the past, so it's a 3% COLA plus a 2% increase on there. So that was what I mentioned to you at the last council meeting, is we were working on a way, I was working with the chief to figure out a way to provide an increase to the police department employees. And so across the board, instead of a 3% COLA increase, it's a 3% plus a 2% increase for PD.
Would that bring us to a point where we are we competitive, or are we just kind of meeting the surrounding area at that point?
You're still not, I mean,
Not even close to meeting the surrounding area?
$10,000 below the market at every position.
Okay.
yeah, Inman's around 55,000, I believe, and we're currently at 45,000 once they're certified. And it's going to be something that you're never going to be able to meet, because every time, when we did the step and grade system about 3 years ago, as soon as it was passed, county council increased theirs again. So it will continue to,
We will fall behind
and the
in
town
this.
will never be able to keep up with that.
One of the things I've always told Patrick when we discuss this is on the topic of public safety pay. If you guys as elected officials don't touch that every year, you're falling way behind. Because, for example, like you said, when we created that step and grade, the county jumped ahead of us quite a bit. Other municipalities, they're doing the same thing. So with the revenue growth that we have, and it's somewhat limited at this point, if you guys aren't touching it every year, we're really far behind. I understand we can't pour $10,000 in every person's salary, but we need to see a good faith effort that we're doing what we can.
Yeah. The thing about it, if we don't have the money or the money coming in, we won't be able to maintain it. So we have to be sensible and reasonable when it comes to the salaries. We would like to give them what they're worth, but we're just not able to. And that's just the reality of it.
We have to be more business friendly. Businesses will pay for this stuff. I hate to be a broken record.
So that was changed on there. There was a loss in our Public Works Department, and so we were able to adjust some items on there for the grounds division on there, and provide some dollars in there for to cover for overtime. And I remember the other thing I ended up doing was I increased, we're up to about $20,000 for equipment or supplies that can be used for beautification efforts. It can be used for rentals of equipment to be used for various projects. So as mentioned, in terms of beautification, there's been additional dollars put in there to be able to do beautification projects.
And we have additional hours if overtime, you added that in for events and things.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, this is the, I guess, third budget that I've created for council. Every time I do it, or maybe fourth time, every time I do it, I learn a little bit more about what we could do better and add things in there. So every year I'm trying to get a little bit better and better in terms of creating this budget and think more of what we could be better prepared for. If you like, I can go through, in the interest of time, I don't have to go through this, but I can kind of read through more of the memo on here. It's up to y'all.
I had a question about, okay, so it starts out with saying that we are not going to transfer funds. Hold on, where was that? Okay. There are no planned fund transfers included in the year's operating budget. But then right after that, the royalty revenue, we're anticipating transferring the funds from royalty to maintain a functioning and balanced budget at that point. So what does it mean when you're saying there are no planned fund transfers included in this year's operating budget? What do you mean by that?
Can you show me where that section is?
On the memo, it's on page 2 at the very top right above where it says royalty revenue and capital fund strategy. It's the last little thing there where it says there's no planned fund transfers included in this year's operating budget. When you're talking about fund transfers, what do you mean specifically about planned fund?
The only thing that I can think of is planned transfers is for, I think I remember what that's, in the past, we have transferred more money. The hospitality fund brings in approximately $25,000 a year in terms of hospitality tax. In some years, I proposed that council transfer additional money out of, you've got about $100,000 in your hospitality account. And so basically it's using that $25,000 and then transferring an additional $7,500 from your hospitality fund to do more than $25,000 worth of work. And I don't have that in there this time.
Okay. I guess, so you're taking it from the hospitality fund, and what does it get used for typically then? Like, what you're using it for?
Hospitality can be used for various types of park projects. It can be used for events. It can be used for anything for increasing visitor traffic. There are certain things that can be used for. I can give you probably a detailed list that what the state has in terms of what hospitality funds can be used for, but it's I believe it was last year's budget, there was a possibility of doing more hospitality projects or funding events than what the town brought in. And so it was agreed to at that time to take some out of the hospitality fund balance to cover the cost to be able to do more than what the revenue coming in was for.
Okay, so that is additional money for hospitality that we've been able to sit on. And that's
Yes.
the one that, and it's in.
You've got like I said, you have $100,000 of fund balance right now.
Okay, so a question about that too, because I would like to look at that. We can go into more detail at the committee meeting, because if we are having officers and in-town employees do the events, and yes, okay, our salaries may not come up to par, but if we have extra money there, can we be paying them bonus overtime to be doing those kind of events? Things like that. I understand that we may not can increase an entire salary, but if you are somebody that's getting recruited for the stuff, can we beef up something there to
You can take
reward?
hospitality funds when you have events, and any cost of that event, including police, can be covered out of hospitality funds.
Okay, so, but that's what you mean when you're saying no funds transfer, but I'd like to look at, we'll get into that in the financing committee.
Sure.
Because, okay, maybe we can't necessarily pull from here to give better benefits, but maybe that's somewhere we could be making sure that we are feeding whoever's on staff, whoever, whatever we need to do to make sure that anybody that's working these events is well taken care of for that.
Yeah, anybody who works the events, every time our police officers work the events, their food's covered for that particular thing. And, you know, if they're working overtime, you know, we pay overtime rates on there as well. Typically, the chief tries to set it up in such a way so they don't have to do overtime, but
But maybe we give them a bonus for
Right.
wanting to do it. I
Absolutely.
mean, that's an initiative, it's some way that we can offer something.
And there, you can use, even to the point where they have said that roads that take you to a particular type of park or event, or something that visitor-related, do qualify for hospitality funds as well.
Okay, yeah, we'll look into that one better then. And then, as far as the capital fund strategy, you're saying 50,000, we transferred 60,000. Is this going to come back where we might have to reevaluate and that might not cover? Like the royalties, I'm on royalties now, I'm sorry. I'm on the next section, the
Sure.
royalty revenue, because we are having to take from that to keep the operating budget
That's correct.
functional. And ideally, we would get to a point where we're not doing that because that money would be sitting to try to build capital. But right now, that 50,000, based off your numbers, we're not going to have to come back and amend and take more, you think?
I don't intend for that to happen.
Okay.
There's $100,000 that we currently have budgeted to receive from Mid-South Aggregates. We received that in December of this year. And straight off the bat, we take $50,000 and put it into, the plan is to take $50,000 and put it right into a capital fund. Now, because the revenue that currently comes into the town is not enough to cover the total cost, $50,000 of that revenue goes back into operating.
Yes, that's what
Are
I'm
we
thinking.
certain, are we certain there's going to be no interruption in those funds from Mid-South?
What was that again?
We're certain there's not going to be any interruption in those funds from Mid-South. They are going to honor that contract?
So,
Or are they obligated to, or are they just
Yes.
doing it? They are
So
obligated.
one of the things, more information, when,
That's what I thought.
let's see, when Riverbend was not interested in selling, they had no interest in selling, they were going to move forward 100%, they were approached by several companies. I'm not going to say all the companies, but there were a particular company that was very interested in it, and said that we would like to buy your company and here's the price, but we are not going to honor that contract with the town. And Riverbend said, see you later. We'll move on to the next person. And so they would not take any offers from anyone unless they honored the agreement that they had previously set up with the town.
Okay.
And so on top of that, I wanted to make sure, more than just a verbal agreement, and the mayor and I talked about this, we had them sign an additional contract on top of that, saying that they would honor the agreement from the prior company.
Good.
Now, reading that agreement, there was a loop there. They are going, I mean, it's an aggregate company that bought it, so I'm assuming it remains under the same, they're going to go ahead, are they moving? I know you had already received the plans for it, we're getting the stuff approved on there. And have they set a groundbreaking date for the, like, is this like, we are for sure moving forward to make this into aggregate type stuff?
We're trying to get a formal ribbon-cutting, groundbreaking kind of date, but their plan, as far as I understand, when I've talked to them, they want to be fully operational by the fall. They are 100% gung-ho if you've been out there on the property. On top of that, they are required to upgrade the road from 150 all the way to their plant. So if you've seen Short Drive out there, Short Drive's been completely rebuilt.
Okay.
They are the ones who are doing that. The road that goes from there all the way to Hammett Grove Road, well, Hammett Grove Road was already upgraded. I'm sorry, not Hammett Grove. Packlet, Cowpens was done. And so you've seen, if you go up on Hammett Grove Road from Cowpens, Packlet, all the way out to where their plan is, they have completely destroyed the current road, and they're rebuilding the subbase and rebuilding that entire thing so it will support trucks.
Okay, so they've already put
They've already started that.
investments in to make this. into-
They've already made
Okay.
significant investments in this.
Okay.
Does
So
any-
they're responsible for all the road construction,
The road construction that's currently on Short Drive
150?
and with Hammock Grove Road, they're responsible for that, and they're
Okay.
paying for that cost themselves.
Does any of the council need further discussion on the town budget at this time?
I do have a question about the training in there. I noticed that for our training, we spent like $14,000 overall in training, and we had budgeted 6. So that was one of the categories we've gone over, and training, I think, is a very good thing to be having. But when I looked at our proposed, there's $6K going to council, and there's $2,400 going to the police department. But I don't see anything for admin, and I don't see any training under admin stuff, and I don't see any training. I know the Planning Commission and the BOZA, the Board of Zoning Appeals, they have a little allotted budget of $600. Does that cover their training and stuff? Because
The-
all of that's,
What is called on the budget travel, but it's travel/training, is for admin on there, which we've got on here at $6,000. What had been happening in the past is the admin travel/training was also for council, and so that has been split out now. And so there is now a section on here for council
training, yes.
Training on here as well.
Yes, that one's on there, but then, so the admin will be sharing the category with travel expenses and training? Because the travel went down, it was a $6,000, and now we're going at 48, and I don't want to see
Part
any...
of that travel and training on there was for me to go to the Local Government Leadership Institute, and that's done. I won't be going to that. I'm done with that, and the only training that will end up happening between now and the rest of the year would be Miss Gilbert going to her required trainings.
And what about the assistant town clerk when we post that position? Are we going to have additional training required for that stuff?
I don't think so initially, but at some point, we may need to look at some court clerk training on
They're
there.
not offering the court one-on-one classes that I have my understanding this year because they're working on revamping the program. So this year there won't be any, but maybe next year, like maybe the next fiscal year, we can add that in and they bring that program back, which I think they will. They're just trying to revamp it.
Did you get through that one, and you've done, okay, so you've got that all out of the way, but will you have to take the updated training? Will they require you to? Okay, okay.
There will be some training for victims assistance for the new person coming in, and that qualifies for spending. We cannot spend anything for the victims assistance program. The town has to maintain a budget or a balance on there of about $25,000 for any type of potential concern that comes up for victims in the community. However, one qualified expense is for an employee to go and attend the annual training and conference. That's an approved expense on there. Otherwise, what the town ends up doing is anything that we collect that's over that $25,000 minimum on there, it's a $25,000 minimum and maximum. So anything that's over the $25,000, the town has been donating to the Rape Crisis Center, since the town doesn't currently have a victims assistance employee.
Okay, okay. But that's in there if we had to do it?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Yeah, that was, I just want to make sure, since we had gone so far over, that we were getting what we needed in order for training to be done. What was our what's the capital outlay that we had on the thing that, I don't know if we have it budgeted for the other one? Capital outlay, we spent $16,134, but there was none budgeted for it. What was that for? And is that something we need to budget for in the future?
Is that through the audit on there?
No, the audit, we did, and you budgeted that to go up because the audit expense went up. I saw where you increased that. But it's called capital outlay. I think it's under the expenses of our current operating budget. Let me find it. And then I don't think there's anything for it, but yet we went over and spent $16,000 on it, but I don't see it budgeted for the future, and there was none budgeted for it to begin with. I just don't understand what that is.
Let me check on that and see what that is
I don't see where.
in your report.
What are we looking to do?
That was on page,
I don't think I see the current operating one in here. Let me see. But it's capital outlay, and like I said, there was none budgeted, and it looks like we spent money in it, but I don't see it in the new budget. I just didn't understand if we needed to add that. What is that?
let me check and see what that is on there, because any type of capital outlay on there should only be for, the only thing that I can think of is when council approves to spend dollars out of the capital improvement fund.
Well, I'm wondering, how much did the stormwater plant, was that, I don't know if the stormwater was on here. Did that come?
No, so the stormwater project was about $106,000. That came from, some dollars of that came from ARPA. The rest of it came from the Rural Infrastructure Authority grant that the town received, as well as the Community Development Block Grant funds.
Okay. So that wouldn't have been that, yeah, it's on the expenses, it's under, there's miscellaneous, and then there's that, it's around.
I see it on here.
Yeah.
It's
We just
I'll
don't,
have to see what that was on there, and, because it has a budget of $1,000 on there, and then it has an item on there, I'm
I
sorry, it says
don't, no, it says,
$16,000.
yeah, it was 16,000, but we didn't have anything budgeted at all.
I think what that is, and I have to verify this, but I think that is when council, we're still trying to identify where to put the capital outlay on there, and I think that has to do with when there was a trailer that was purchased, a dump trailer, and that was taken out of the capital fund on there. What had been allocated on here, it was put on there, it was put on this list on here as either a supplies or equipment, and it shouldn't have been counted as operating expenses for this particular year. It should have been completely separate. Another example of that would be council approved to spend approximately $14,000 on laptops for police department. And so if you look at the police department budget, you'll see it's over in a couple sections, and that's not them. It was, the laptops were supposed to be put under a capital outlay or they're not coming out of the general fund. And so, but the way it has been recorded, it looks like that. The same thing happened when police department bought the Polaris. 100% of that cost came from a grant from Norfolk Southern, but it still had to be recorded on there. And so one thing that's going to be done July 1st moving forward is we're going to have a separate line item for capital outlay. And as council approves different outlays on there, the budget on there will end up increasing on there. And then when those funds get expended, that's where that is coming from.
Can that be, okay, so that was one thing I was going to ask, like, as we go into this new budget, the way this is set up for our draft budget, I really like the part where it's broken down, court, public sanitation, it's broken down into department. And you're actually seeing what's being spent in different departments. I like that better than what I'm seeing on here where it clumps
Absolutely.
the stuff. And if that's a category in and of itself, could we treat it as a department, like its own department, where we show the ins and out of that?
It'll end up showing as a line item on the, what am I looking for? On the, what's the line item on the sheet with all of that? I can't think of what it is. I can't think of the report that it goes on, but yes, you will see, one thing I'm looking at doing, moving forward into July 1st, two things you're going to end up having is I'll print up regular reports of what you currently have in your hospitality funds and how much you currently have in your capital funds. And every time that you approve funds to be taken out of those, you will see those monthly in terms of once you approve it, how much you've approved to go in there, and then how much was spent out of there. And so you'll be able to see each time, each month, what you've got in those accounts.
Right, like it would have its own
It is
special
difficult
spot there.
for me to budget for that because the town didn't budget to have a dump trailer. but the town voted to approve buying a dump trailer. So what council could potentially do is when you vote to approve that, is you're basically voting to amend the budget to allow for the purchase of that.
So it would be added into the budget at the time of the money movement, and then we could track it from after.
What I would suggest is you have your general fund, incomes and expenses, and then you will have a capital fund, incomes, expenses, and you will have a hospitality fund, incomes, expenses on there.
I have a
Yes.
question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this something that we can move past and you and Chantal can meet again to discuss it further?
We absolutely can.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I was thinking about going ahead and saying we need to approve this, because what do we have, like, this, we have 2 more meetings? Do we
I
have 2
just,
more?
I just have one question for the chief. Do you see any issues as far as your department with this budget? Anything? Everything's good?
I do have some notes that I'll probably send you guys by email of things that we have to start thinking about for the future of how I want to see the budget structure.
But this one's good?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion, we approve the fiscal year 2027 on the first reading budget.
I second it.
I just want to make sure that even after we approve this, if we have to amend something.
Yeah, we
do it
can.
on the-
We can,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you.
Good job, Chantel, didn't want to cut you off.
No, that's okay, I just, I
You're doing-
have a lot of
you're
questions.
doing the Lord's
so I'm
work
sorry.
down there.
Just tell me. I'll ask at another time.
Moving to item D, consider second reading ordinance 2026-05 to authorize and regulate short-term rentals.
So the short-term rentals would add to our hospitality fund, correct?
Sir?
We would get income from the short-term rentals that would go to our
We
hospitality.
go into your accommodations tax. The town
Accommodations.
currently does not take any accommodations tax because there are no hotels, there's no lodging, there's no Airbnbs.
Motion to approve on second reading ordinance 2026-05.
I second.
Okay, I agreed with y'all last time, because I do agree that we probably should go ahead and give short-term a try, but I would really like to see that we limit it maybe to certain districts and not just have it open for a free-for-all. And that would just, I think, be an amendment under Section 3 of it where it says allotted, where permitted things. Let me find it, sorry.
Where are you concerned of it being? Where do you not want it?
I think that different people have brought it to my attention that there was one that had gone into Michael's Estates and it had turned into a party house and had become a problem. So a lot of the established type
But
neighborhoods.
that was an unregulated, that was not supposed to be there when they were not. Us putting this into order, we can control the STRs.
Well, and I think for trial purposes, before we let them go every single way, I think that was part of what the Planning Commission was discussing too, was that in some of these neighborhoods, I mean, they're just tiny neighborhood, that is, you know, it's just a condensed little neighborhood of families, and they would like to see it stay kind of neighborhoodly.
You're not going to see a lot of STRs. I think Cowpens has 2. So it's not like you're going to have in 6 months or a year, 30 Airbnbs in Packlet. It's
Yeah, I
just
don't
not
know.
gonna happen.
I
No.
totally,
We're talking maybe 1 or 2 in certain places.
I see Chantel's view there, but you're not going to get the test run because that was the only one we had. I think we had another one at some point, but that was literally the only one. I'd like to get them back in business, but if you want to do a test run, you could be waiting years to see what happens because
Well, one of the things that has come up multiple times is right there on, it's right when you cross the railroad tracks, we have a non-conforming property now that's in the central business district. Like, I would like to see houses like that got converted, instead of sitting there and end up being non-conforming, not being used for anything, end up with another empty building, that's where we would
which
end up
property are you
doing.
talking about?
You know which one I'm talking about, because we've talked about that one a lot. The one that, on the railroad tracks, as soon as you come over from Coleman's, that's now non-conforming right there on the right. And I believe you said at the last planning commission, they want to remain a residence there, but C3 doesn't allow for the residents.
I think we're correcting that in this agenda tonight.
You think that's was that one of the parcels that was put back as a residence?
I think that's addressed in item
Yes, that's,
12A.
That one is one of the ones, one of the
Yeah,
parcels.
I have some thoughts on that too. But I don't think we're gonna, Jamie made a great point. They were unregulated. One more issue, we can shut them down. I mean, we have that option.
Well, and also we'll know where they are because they are regulated, and it's something that obviously, like the police force would go by. When you had that situation before, it was in a closed neighborhood and nobody knew except for the neighbors when they had a problem because they were running an illegal business. They weren't supposed to be doing that. We're trying to legalize this business so we have control over it.
Well, and that makes sense. I think that there are going to be established neighborhoods where people just don't want them there. And I know that we had our public hearing for it, and I wish some people would come and have maybe given us an opinion as to where they wouldn't have wanted them. But I think that we're going to run into, if we get these in certain neighborhoods, we're going to have people very upset.
If it turns into a big problem, I'll be the first one to join you in amending this. It's probably not going to happen.
Okay.
If you read through in here, if the residents in the area complain about this, that's enough for us to review their current status, and we can revoke their license altogether. And every year, they have to come to the town to reapply. And if there are issues and the chief's being called on these things, it'll be shut down quick.
Well, that's what if the complaint's going to have to be legitimate nuisance stuff that falls under our nuisance ordinance, right? Because we did update that, right? Was I wrong in that there's a whole brand-new section that's a nuisance ordinance that deals with a lot of specific stuff? And the municipal code itself didn't have it, but we adopted a separate one, I believed. And I think that's what, I don't even know if it's going to be, like, I think you're going to have people that don't want it, period, whether it becomes a problem or not. I guess that's what I'm trying to
Well,
say.
that's 100% true.
Like,
Yeah. I mean,
and
there's some people that don't want anything. But
they don't want it in their neighborhood, which I kind of understand that. Do
But we
I
have to
personally
be-
care if they're on the Mill Hill? I don't, but that doesn't mean my neighbor agrees with me, you know?
The thing is, all the
Is there a
neighborhoods,
motion?
except for maybe Fuller Street, are established neighborhoods. Like, they're all established. Family, they all have families, they all have kids, they all have,
Is there a motion on the floor?
yes.
The only thing that I want to say on that, and then we'll move on, the monitoring, it's going to be the town's responsibility to monitor these facilities, because the way I understand, there's ways where, like if they only do it 15 days a year, they don't have to collect state tax on that. Making sure they got the insurance they need, making sure the facility's up to par. I know it's a yearly inspection or what, but, that's a liability the town's gonna be taking on when we approve this. I don't mind people having the opportunity to make money out of their home, and if that's what they want to do, but the cost of it may be minimal, but it's another task that the town had to take on, because, I think they can, if I'm right, they don't have to go on a platform like Verbo or, Airbnb. They can do their own platform and do it their own way. So, that's something we just have to monitor. And with good responsibility, person that's responsible, yeah, he'll do the right thing, or they'll do the right thing, or whatever, but what I'm saying is it's just something that if we stay on track of it and monitor it, I see it to be a good thing, but not just let it go free and willy-nilly without being checked.
I think that what's probably going to happen is the neighbors are going to kind of complain enough to harass them out of business. They're going to be checking far more than our police. That's probably what's going to happen, is a whole campaign to, so.
And that's what I was thinking too, that's more, if people out there is going to do that, that's just more cause for our police force to go out there over how many times to.
Well, at some point, it turns into a false police report.
Right, okay, yeah.
Hopefully, we don't
Right.
have that level of pettiness, but we have to let people,
Right.
give some people free use of their property. We have to put people in business. We have to be pro-business.
We have
We
a,
gotta generate some money.
Yeah, we gotta generate some money.
we got a motion and a second.
My only last question is then, can we revoke this ordinance completely later if it becomes a complete, I know we can go and take
We can revoke
individually.
Any ordinance.
Yes, but we can go ahead and
We can
take this
any
back
ordinance
off
on board.
the,
Yep.
completely, like, and do away with it if we
We
get
can
into
do
a
away with
fiasco.
any
So
ordinance.
just so you are aware, and make sure all council members are aware, it is state law illegal for one council to tie the hands of a future council. So any future council doesn't like this, they get rid of
Take
this.
it, okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any against? Thank you. Back where I was at again, you got me off track.
We're on number 12.
New business. Item A, consider on first reading ordinance 2026-06 to rezone multiple parcels on Highway 150, East Main Street, Memorial Drive, West Main Street, Crescent Street from C3 Central Business District to C2 Neighborhood Commercial.
That was the church, right? The Methodist church?
No.
No, this is 31 properties.
Oh, that's the one with all the individual parcels. Okay.
I have some thoughts on this one. But did you have something you wanted?
Yeah, if you don't mind,
ahead.
I've talked to the chair of the planning commission today about this and mentioned that my recommendation to y'all is to not do it in bulk like this, but to do it in sections. And now, she does not represent the entire group, but she agreed, and she's okay with that, that we would go, that the two of us would go door to door in sections and talk to people one-on-one and explain to them what we're looking to do and do them at like 5 or 10 at a section. But there'll be a lot more back and forth and conversation with the property owners besides just a sign on the front yard and a letter and all that kind of stuff, because 31 signs and 31 letters, I think you're going to have a lot of phone calls, not just from those particular properties, but from the entire community.
Yeah. Now,
So,
And I think some of them may be a case-by-case situation, that some are interested and some are not.
Can you not call a meeting maybe and invite them down here to the town hall?
we have to, right?
Sir?
Don't we have to do a
yeah, we
public
have
hearing
to.
for that? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll have a
okay.
public hearing for this. I was not, some of the stuff that comes out of the planning commission, y'all don't always approve. And so I didn't want to send out 31 letters and have 31 signs that are all out there
Right.
and do a public hearing when y'all may say, no, we're not going to do this. And so I wait until the first reading, and then on the second reading, I'll have a public hearing unless I kind of get a good idea from council that they're going to be okay with this, and we'll do it first.
I just got a couple of thoughts to get through. Again, I'm concerned that we're doing a bunch of rezoning when no one's asking, but then when people ask, we say no. I'm probably going to keep saying that if this trend continues, but that's not my biggest concern. 31 properties. So these circle the square of Highway 150, West Main Street, Church Street, Pine Street, generally. Of these 31, they're all residences.
Correct.
Yeah. There's only one excluded from this, one residence, which got me thinking, why would they exclude this one residence? That's a property owned by my church, actually Rick's church too. So I had a meeting with my pastor, and me just being paranoid because that's what the job does, and I've had a target on my back, and the chairman of Planning Commission knows I go to that church, and she has, very strong opinions about me that she voices. I just got paranoid about why out of 31 was this one property owned by my church, and I have zero evidence that there's anything malicious here. I'm just super suspicious. So I had a meeting with my pastor about about what we were going to discuss tonight. He's now concerned, and, I think that, I don't know why that one property was excluded. If they believe that they're doing this change to improve these people's lives, and then this one just was pulled out of the group, that's a huge question I have. But what I think they're trying to do, again, I think they have a goal that they're taking this roundabout route to, and I think they're trying to protect people's residences from becoming non-compliant, non-conforming. I think that it's time that we remove the clause that natural disaster, fire, acts of God will take away that grandfather status. I'm talking about all zoning. If we want to protect people's property, I've never had an issue with this, I've just never dived deep. This one property owned by my church being pulled out got me thinking about this more. I think that we have zoning directions we want to go in. I think people should make that choice. I think we should set up the zoning and give people the opportunity to make that choice to move in that direction. But fire, acts of God, natural disasters, I think we should just eliminate that entirely. Have that never be a factor that takes away someone's ability to rebuild across all our zoning. I think this will solve a lot of problems. I don't think we have to do 31 hearings, slowly rezone the entire town. I think that's something that if you sent that back to them, based on what I've heard, I watch all the meetings, based on what I've heard, that might be something they're very interested in. And there might be some secondary consequences. I'm always thinking, what are the second and third consequences? I haven't figured out what that is. I think that personal property rights are more important. That's my take on this, but I definitely want to send this back for one of those two reasons, maybe both. Ask some questions. I'm really, really curious why the one property was pulled out from this. And I know that you mentioned it, Patrick, and the chair specifically said, no, not that property. I remember you pointing out, why are we excluding this one property? She didn't offer a reason. I have no evidence anything was behind that. It's just concerning to me. Is there anyone else that thinks that just removing that clause where no one loses their grandfather status from natural disaster and fire, is that something we are interested in?
I think that that's a really good idea because I think it is the exact goal of the Planning Commission from many conversations and from sitting on it. We do not want anybody pushed out of their homes.
Why don't they
There's just
propose
no
that? Why don't they
reason.
just propose the simple?
Because this has been a learning curve for all of us. That, when we took on that zoning ordinance, that was a monster of a task to take on, and you don't even understand some of the stuff that you've passed until you start seeing things in action, and you start and what I didn't understand is when we put C3 through, why was housing not a conditional use considering the sheer amount of residences? I understand the vision of having a downtown. I'm not disagreeing with that, but the reality of the situation is that's going to take decades possibly to actually get a structured downtown the way that it was drawn out in our comprehensive plan and the master plan. And in the meantime, we have people that are living in these homes. So why does C3, out of all the commercial districts, every other district had an allowance for houses? Why did C3 not have an allowance for housing? And I don't understand that. Could it be a conditional use? Putting it as a conditional use.
C3 is our highest commercial level.
No, we have a C4 too. It's.
Do we have a C4? What's a C4?
The
C4 is
commercial's
your general
got
commercial. So
carried away.
your C3 is your traditional
Downtown.
Historic downtown
Yes.
with
Okay,
zero
right.
lot lines. So
Right.
think downtown Spartanburg, and that is your C3 Central Business District. Your
So-
WO Ezell Boulevard is C4
Right,
zoning
so,
district.
so that answers your question. C3 does allow residences.
No.
No, let me finish.
Well,
In a-
technically, because
In a
you're
mixed
living
use.
there, but.
In a mixed use I believe that is built into C3.
No, it's not.
You can't have a single-family home. You can have a residence,
So with
On a second level, right?
yes, mixed-use residence.
Under C3, you can have, the front 50% has to be a retail, restaurant, that sort of establishment, but the back 50% can be residential, and upper floors can be residential.
Okay, so there
Just
was a
not-
residential.
Not single-family home.
But I think what happened is the creep of C3 got all the way down like Memorial Drive and all of that. Like, we should have kept C3 on the just main thoroughway down there and let it kind of work itself out and expand it as it went.
You have to give developers enough space to work. You're not, I don't know if you're going to attract a developer that's going to take a tiny lot. Now, if you have a developer, I know the D word's a bad word, if you have a construction company that wants to, build us a traditional downtown or some sort of commercial, they want people to have lots that they can sell. If they approach the resident and say, hey, you're zone C3, you're a resident, do you want to move? Do you want to sell? So if you throw that out there, hey, all this area is the vision someday, that kind of just signals to, commercial developers. That's my understanding of it. But I think that, without drawing this out super long, I think we're on the same page that we just remove that clause of fire, natural disaster cannot force someone out of their house, and I think it solves all the problems.
But if the house is sold, do we know if the house, say, okay, so one of the ones.
Well, my understanding is that
the house is sold.
What do you mean?
If the house is sold, I believe it becomes a non-conforming use too. Am I wrong in that?
As long as it's occupied, it could be sold indefinitely, I believe.
The way it was set up is that I got to make sure on this, but I believe the way it's set up is that if they sell the house and it is reoccupied within, I think, 6 months, it's fine. Now, if it goes vacant for more than 6 months,
Right.
it's not fine. Now,
Yeah.
at least I have no problem with it if someone buys it within 6 months and then puts it under construction, that until they move in would be fine.
My understanding is you've got active permits or an active listing, it's not considered abandoned. You've got your utilities on. We're talking about abandoned as utilities off, nothing going on, no plans. That's my understanding.
It doesn't
but
say
it
anything
says
about being an
occupied.
active listing.
Oh, the listing is the issue?
It's the occupation, I think. It's
We
occupied.
may have to edit that to, you've got utilities that are on, and
But-
it's listed with the MLS.
May I ask the question that, what are you looking for under terms of uses of C3 that you're not able to get in C2?
I don't know all the uses of C2.
Because
Off the top of my
the uses between C3 and C2 are almost identical
Yeah.
on there.
But
The difference is C2 allows for residential.
So why change it?
C3 is your traditional
right.
downtown with no setbacks.
So
Right.
if we do change that, if we do change them properties, so you're doing away with potential future downtown.
The only thing you give up, do you think that someone's going to come in and put in a traditional downtown on those particular properties within the next year or two? And if you don't think they're going to, then you don't need it. You could go to C2 for now, and if you see that, just this, my opinion on here is that you've got West Main Street where the town is potentially going to end up owning the property from Norfolk Southern, and that's going to be the first opportunity that the town can extend the existing historic area and use the zero lot line. I would suggest that y'all keep that as C3, but some of the other areas move into C2 until you fully develop the C3 area of West Main Street. Don't have C3 everywhere.
Yes, that,
I
yes.
agree.
I
Yes.
agree with, I agree too.
Do a lump
But
sum
the
zone.
C3 is the non-conforming issue, right?
Yeah.
In C3, you cannot have a single-family residential
So
property.
can we do like Thomas, can we send this back down and have, maybe check into that about taking that clause or taking fire or whatever out of that? And why don't we do that?
You could go to the C2, you have almost the exact same uses on there.
Yes.
You don't have the zero lot line on there. Keep your West Main Street as C3. get that developed as your zero lot line traditional downtown. Once that gets fully developed over there, then you expand out and change properties from C2 to C3 as you see fit on there. But some of the areas on 150 Memorial Drive are most likely not going to be your traditional historic downtown build-outs.
Correct. So, but they listed properties on West Main to change to C2.
Yeah.
Sir?
There was a few properties on West Main that could touch a, traditional town.
And
that
on
they included.
those, I would suggest that they maintain the C3 on there.
Yeah.
It's just the ones that are on,
So how do you want to divide it up? If you want to do these in chunks of 5 or 6,
yeah, I'll do it in chunks of 5 to 10
but
on
we
there.
don't want to change clauses
I don't think you
about...
want to change your West Main Street and leave that.
No, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the clause. It's a kind of a separate issue, but it's got me thinking about, the issue is the fear of becoming non-conforming and then having your home burned down. That's maybe something separate.
If I'm understanding correctly, that's been the discussion with having mobile homes and all
everything,
that.
yeah.
So
We should've just-
I think that's actually a good idea because that would have a lot of things that have been going on with the planning commission. They're concerned about getting people out of their house. If we take that natural causes out of the equation.
But you'll solve the same thing by doing the rezoning, and it takes the same time.
Now, when you're saying
Not for other
rezoning,
areas.
though, I think we're having two different kind of rezoning. You're talking about taking the entirety, not parcel by parcel, doing an entire change to the zoning map to keep C3 into a concentrated area. And then you don't have to do parcel by parcel. You would have chunks of C2 that surround C3 then. Is that what the kind of zoning you're talking about? Because you're saying still the parcels. I'm confused by that. Can we take it, leave C3 in that little strip, and instead of going parcel by parcel, we just say all surrounding area is now C2? Can we do it that way without
that-
having
Yeah,
you
to?
want to do?
you could, the only thing that, I think you would take one property off of here, and you could go ahead and do that. And what I'll do with the chair is to go through next week and go through every single person's property, so you're not getting a bunch of phone calls.
I would take 2 properties off and put 1 on, because when I talked to my pastor, he said, well, if it's going to go one way or the other, we'd rather be C2.
Do you mind letting me know which one?
180,
What's that?
180, Highway 150, right next to the Lions Club.
It's diagonally across from Coleman Store,
Correct,
across the railroad track.
correct.
Right beside the Lions Club.
I don't think that property, I think that we wanted to leave that one alone on there, I think was because, I could be wrong on this, but I think it was to protect it but I mean, it could change to C2, yes.
Protect it how it's a residence.
What's that?
Protect it how it's a residence.
So if you change that particular property to C2, it would stay single-family occupants on there, but it would also adhere to the MFR, based on what I suspect is in that space. There's multifamily residential in there.
I can't speak to that, I don't know.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page. It's a group home?
Is it a
Is
group
it,
home?
is it a group home?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
They use it for missionaries and, I believe, different church members or church employees.
So one thing is if it's owned by a church and it's for church purposes, churches are allowed in any district. And so it doesn't matter what you'd end up moving it into as long as it's for church purposes.
When I brought up the issue, he was concerned and wanted to keep a permanent possibility for residential. So,
And you would have that for C2? You
yeah,
would not
I
have
know,
that for
it's
C2?
not on the list, though, the change. They eliminated that one.
Oh, you want to add it on there?
They
Okay.
excluded it, yes, and I would like to add it.
Okay, excellent.
And I would
Yes.
like to remove the 2 West Main. It's a Memorial Drive facing property, but it's maybe an issue with the West Main development.
Okay, so you want
But
to add
we can argue about
180,
that another time.
North 150. And then subtract out the 146 West Main.
It ain't an address on there. One is 150, but the other one is just said West Main Street.
Yeah, there's a 148.
I guess. Is
That's,
that my-
yeah, that's actually my neighbor in the back.
Okay.
And then I was just thinking of the property that's on the corner of West Main and Memorial. Not directly on the corner, near the corner. That's what those were the two I was suggesting.
Man, it's been 2.5 hours. I'm gonna excuse myself.
Yes, sir.
Have a good night, Rick.
So my question is, from B to F, is this something we have to cover tonight, or can we take it up at next meeting?
Yeah, you can definitely table this till next meeting. You can go ahead and pass it now and then amend it at the next council meeting with the public hearing. But if you don't do anything, then it dies and it takes a year to come back.
Motion to table.
Second that
Ordinance
motion.
2026-06.
Second.
All in favor for that table? Any against? Okay, I had a request was you referring to B, C, and D now?
B through F, is this
Yeah, B.
something pressing that we have to cover tonight, or can we
I think one of
take it up?
I would recommend that you go ahead and get C. This is the rezoning of the church
Yeah.
for the Methodist church. That went real quick under planning commission.
I
Maybe we can
100%
discuss it.
agree with that. Motion to approve on first reading ordinance map amendment 2026-11.
A second.
All in favor?
I think B is like a no-brainer as well. Like, we could probably bang that out too.
Any against? Well,
D is additional funds to get a better number
No, B.
for the amphitheater.
I think B, we can just get done. That's Dollar General turning to Central Business District. I think that's a no-brainer, right?
No,
I'm recommending that y'all don't do it, because once you approve it,
It becomes
one of the
zero
things under
fund.
C3 is it limits the size of grocery stores. Because in a traditional downtown, you wouldn't have a 20,000 square foot grocery store.
Why did they recommend it?
They didn't realize that. It was something that was brought up during the meeting, and I hadn't had a chance to review it.
Okay.
And I realized that afterwards, and so I'm recommending that y'all don't approve B. And
yeah, because it was all the surrounding property were C3. I think it was because Dollar General was the only one that wasn't C3, ironically, right
It's
there.
more,
Because-
it should more be C4 is what you're saying.
Yeah, that whole area
yeah,
should,
if
because
anything,
all that would
it's
have to be,
C4. It works fine as C2.
All right, let's just leave it then.
I would recommend that if y'all, D, you could go ahead and let Paul Wiles do that next phase to get a better number for you.
what happens with that? I guess I can ask you, but the C3, that's just the Dollar General, or is that all the empty stuff down?
That is that entire parcel. It's about 9 acres.
Because becoming C3 would, like, essentially make it non-conforming because it's not a zero setback, correct?
It would be a grandfathered in, but it's, C3 is, stop thinking of, I mean, you do whatever you want to, but C3 is your traditional downtown. Think downtown,
Yeah.
historic downtowns.
But when I was looking at, I'm going to have to look at that map with you again, because everything surrounding that looked like it was going to be C3 anyway, but it looked, all that stuff set. Well, I'll look at that with you a different time for the
Yeah,
map.
if we're going to let item B and D go to the next,
Well, let's, you want to get D done?
I think D is probably an easy thing.
Okay.
E is an easy thing, and
let's
F is an
move to
easy thing.
D. Consider resolution to authorize proposed change order to the Packlet Amphitheater.
I make that motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Any against? Any
Can we go ahead and do E too?
I would recommend that y'all go ahead and do E. That's not costing you anything. It's just going to be going out and getting bids and quotes, what's that's going to cost.
Well, yeah, at this pace, let's finish.
What's that?
At this pace, let's finish it out. We should have done this all night.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we authorize solicitation of preliminary construction estimates for Opera House.
I second
Yeah.
it.
I don't have E on mine, but we have I guess, all in favor. We got to,
And I think F should go ahead and get done so that the chief
Yeah.
can
Yeah, just give me 1 minute. We need a new records management system for the police department. The system we were using has been deemed as not sufficient from a criminal justice safety standpoint by SLED. I've done the due diligence. I've been working on this for multiple months. I've gone through 4 different vendors. This is the vendor I recommend that can provide the product that we need right now and has the support infrastructure that I feel like will support us if we need them.
I'm sorry, I missed the beginning of that. What system are we talking about?
Records management, writing reports,
Okay.
tracking employees, things like that, but basically our report writing system, which is, and also evidence and property tracking.
And they'll store that data for you for
It
the
is 100% on the cloud. The
Okay.
contract states that we own our own data, like we wouldn't have to get our data back from them if we go to another vendor. It's a 3-year contract. Like I said, I've been in close negotiations with 4 different vendors. There have been prices that are just astronomical. This is not the cheapest, but it's almost the cheapest, but they provide what I think we need from my.
Do you have any prices? What's some prices?
Well, the top one is $30,000 a year. The bottom one is about $6,800 a year, and this company will be $7,500 a year. But there's some big detractors from the company that was less than. They have never done this type of service before. They're just entering the market, and I don't particularly want to be their beta testers. So we're going with the lowest bid of the vendor that I think can provide the service we need right now and support us over the next 3 years.
This would be considered professional services. You don't have to put this out to bid, but the chief did look around and talk to several different options that were all out there. And I've went ahead and included the cost for this particular recommendation in the budget for next year that y'all already approved.
At 7,500.
The initial outlay is not. The initial outlay is $12,500. The annual contract is $7,500. So there's a $5,000 fee for implementation for them to meet with me and make the system exactly the way I need it to be.
And like you said, you own the data. There's
the
no
data.
chance if you have to transfer that you're going to lose records.
Right, that was the very first topic we discussed whenever we met with them.
And we have the money. It's in the budget.
Motion to approve Resolution 2026-07.
I
I
second.
second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Do I have a motion that we close this meeting?
One comment.
Okay.
We're like 10 days away from Paddle the Packlet. Everybody, we need volunteers. See Jennifer. Please come out with your paddles and your floaties. That's all I have.
I have a
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, have a second.
Second.
All in favor?